Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Fantasy World of Motorsports. This week, we will be touching on not only our what ifs for the week, with this being Atlanta weekend, we will be talking about the big penalty news that everybody's talking about today, as well as our predictions for the weekend. Today, I'm joined by Billy, as always, and my friend Robert, who decided to join us today.
Hello, I'm here.
And so we're just going to hop into it, and we're all going to give our hot takes and all that great stuff. So let's start with this penalty news today. Do you guys want to start with the Hendrick Colleague stuff, or do you want to start with the Denny Hamlin controversy stuff?
I think let's just start with the Hendrick stuff. That seems like
that's the bigger, I think.
So all Hendrick drivers besides Chase Elliott and Josh Berry, who doesn't compete for Cup Series points, and teams have been docked 100 points each and 10 playoff points and fined $100,000 apiece for a total of $400,000 for modifications made to the hood louvers that were found before last weekend's race at Phoenix, as well as the 31 Colleague car that's driven by Justin Haley. So have you guys seen any of the stuff about the appeal yet?
I know Hendrick applied for an appeal pretty quickly afterwards.
Did you see the grounds that they applied on?
I just know that they applied for the appeal.
No, they applied for the appeal. I don't know what they specifically, the groundwork for the appeal is.
So I can't remember who tweeted it, and I'm not going to dig for it now because I don't want to mess up the recording. But what I read is Hendrick applied for an appeal on the grounds that they did not modify the louver part. They installed it as it was given to them by the manufacturer that NASCAR approved. So,
not be a penalty, I'm pretty sure.
That's judging by the language that they're using. Their argument is that they got them from the supplier in that shape, and they installed them in that shape. They did not modify them because they're not allowed to modify them. So, if that's true, and they're not just going to these suppliers and picking out the funky looking ones on purpose, that could potentially be a big deal. Potentially.
It definitely could, yeah.
But I don't, if that's the truth, which again, we won't know, and I don't know if we will know even if this goes through the whole appeals process, but if that's the truth, then NASCAR looks really stupid.
Yeah, as it usually does, but...
Well, they're not fans of being made to look like asses, especially like last year when Byron got out of his points penalty when he wrecked Hamlin under caution.
Yeah, true.
But so I don't know if it'll come back. I think if the penalty stands, I mean, I really don't know how to feel about it because, again, we don't know where the truth lies. But if they installed a part that wasn't modified, they didn't modify the part, installed it as it was, I don't know. What do you guys think?
If it was one car, I could understand, but it was all four of them.
And Justin Haley, for some reason.
It doesn't make any sense. But if it was one car, like I said, I would totally understand. But all four of them had the exact same issue.
What I don't understand of it is what on the louvers gives them an aero advantage or an
See, that's what I think. Are they? See, I'm not an engineer, but the way I understand it is that an extra air intake, or is it just an exhaust vent to help cool the brakes?
I honestly have no idea what they do.
But yeah, but Phoenix isn't a track where you use a lot of brake either.
That's true.
So why would they be messing with that of all things? It just seems like a really pointless thing to try to manipulate, and they got caught for it, presumably.
That's why I don't. I don't want to side with Hendrick because obviously they're kicking everybody's asses right now.
I will absolutely vouch for Hendrick.
As long as it's not about snowboarding, right?
Right.
See, I don't know. I kind of land in the middle on it. I kind of just want to do the whole wait and see, because if they can work their way out of this, that's a big deal, because if they can prove that they installed these parts because that's what they had, but at the same time they had backup louvers on the cars after that NASCAR approved of. I don't know. There's something there that we don't know. And I don't know if it's the supplier's fault or if it's Hendrick's fault. And I don't want to blame one or the other. But
I'm not in the business of blaming anybody.
I don't know. I would have a hard time blaming the supplier because this has never been an issue. And why did it happen this weekend of all times? I highly doubt the supply issue.
Well, if you remember, do you remember last year when RFK got a penalty for modifying a body clip or something?
Yeah, I remember.
TJ Majors claimed that they'd fixed a broken part because they didn't have enough or something to that degree. It's been a year ago. My memory's like a goldfish, so don't hold me to that. But I remember him saying something along those lines. But no teams want to fix something in a way that isn't an advantage.
Definitely, yeah.
Absolutely.
Get the most out of your car, you're gonna do it. I don't
blame
trying to get the most advantage that they can.
It's the same thing as when Truex. No, it was Kyle and Denny who got caught with the tape at Pocono, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So those two pieces of tape don't seem significant to me, but I'm also not an engineer to where the cars are so similar that anything even that small is going to give you at least some form of advantage. I don't know if it'd be significant or not.
I don't know. That was a pretty big piece of tape. That wasn't a small piece of tape on there. And it was specifically put there.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know.
It was meant for definitely some type of aero advantage because that day were just unbelievably fast.
True, but they took those hood louvers and gave them ones that were approved, or Hendrick had them, one of the two. I don't really know the details because I don't know. I didn't. Again, my memory's like a goldfish. But regardless, it didn't seem to slow down the 5 and the 24.
No.
At all.
So whatever they've got figured out, that wasn't it. Does that mean they're doing something else and this is just the thing they got caught for? Like back in the like Andy Petrie and them guys' days, they do like 6 illegal things and make one really obvious. So you take the one thing and miss the other 5.
That's always a possibility, yeah. But again, I'm not going to make any.
I mean, this isn't the first time Hendrick Motorsports has gotten caught cheating, and it won't be the last either.
Right, but it's just a matter of getting caught and it sticking, because at least the last time that they got penalty trouble, they got out of the points part of that penalty. They still had to pay the fine. I think the fine got increased.
Yeah, it got increased by 25,000, which that's chump change.
Yeah, that's just a parking ticket for Rick Hendrick. It's fine.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I guess we're just kind of going to wait and see on that. If it sticks, Chase Elliott is not only past his own car in the in the point standings, he's passed 2 of his teammates.
Yeah.
While being injured.
while being injured. Chase Elliott, greatest of all time?
Yes.
Maybe. Not even the greatest driver to drive the 9. So
Also, I want to congratulate everybody who's watching and listening. You now have more points currently than Justin Haley does.
He's got negative 40.
Negative 40.
I mean, 60 points in 4 races is already pretty abysmal, and now you just add a 100-point penalty on top of it.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
I think
Also just realized something else.
he's 49th in points. He's not even in the top 48 in points.
Good thing there's no top 30 rule.
Oh yeah, think about how big that is now.
Yeah. Also, it's a terrible day to be someone whose last name starts with an H.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hendrick, Haley, and Hamlin.
Well, to be fair, Hamlin broke the cardinal rule. He opened his mouth when he probably shouldn't have.
Yeah, you absolutely should not have.
But since we'll transition into that, since I think we've all came to the same kind of like middle ground on the Hendrick stuff, because honestly, I don't know that stuff well enough to know if they're going to be able to weasel their way out of it, or if they're genuinely like suffering from a supplier mistake. And I'm not going to take one side or the other, because it's outside my realm of understanding.
I think the best they can do with that is maybe get the penalty reduced from an L2 to an L1 level penalty. I don't think that is going away. I think they're going to be penalized no matter what. I just think the severity of the penalty will be lessened.
Well, the last thing I'll say is I think the counter argument, like from NASCAR, especially like them holding them to this, if they received parts that were not to spec, why didn't they report it?
Great point. That's
why they just put it on the car. Why didn't they say, "Hey NASCAR, these louvers won't work. What are we supposed to do? Help."
Yeah, I don't have an argument for that.
I don't know. Penske got away with the wheel thing at Daytona last year, Penske and RFK, where they were modifying the wheels.
That's true.
So I don't think it's going to be like that. I think it's going to be closer to RFK modifying a body clip, whether it broke or whether they broke it on purpose, whatever.
And don't forget, RM did the same thing last year too.
That's true.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
About the McDowell 100-point penalty after Pocono.
Jeez. Yeah, he kind of got lost in the double DQ, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Really, yeah.
Poor guy. All right, let's talk about Denny. Denny Hamlin decided to
open his mouth.
He decided to take care of business with Ross Chastain at the end of the Phoenix race. Yep. And you can feel however you want about it. I personally loved it once I realized what he did. But he basically just drove Ross into the wall and cost them both about 15, 16 positions. And he brought it up on his podcast Sunday night, Monday morning. No, it's Monday morning. But he brought it up on his podcast, and he said what he did, which was let go of the wheel and took Chastain back with him. And it cost him 25 points and $50,000, which moves him back to 16th in the driver standings. What do you guys think about it?
I mean, I have no problem with the incident. I mean, they weren't going to finish that good anyway. They were the last 2 cars on 2 tires on that second to last restart. They weren't going to finish well. And once Hamlin put Chastain in the wall, it was pretty much over for both of them anyways.
Right. I have to agree. I don't have an issue with what he did, but probably shouldn't have opened his mouth.
Well, you think he'd take a lesson from his driver, Bubba Wallace, about opening your mouth and admitting to doing something on purpose. Because it was
You would think.
Indianapolis 2020, or was it like the week after that he did that, where he self-spun on purpose and admitted to it.
That was Texas.
Oh yeah.
2019.
2019. Oh, okay.
Texas 2019.
Yeah, right.
That was a few weeks after he'd finished like third at Indianapolis randomly, was it?
Yeah.
It was late. It was a couple months after. The Texas thing was in November.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay.
Back
I
when-
remember him asking about it, and he puffed out his chest a little bit and said that the Indianapolis race paid pretty well. Sorry, that's just what I remember. But yeah, I guess they have a precedent. If you open your mouth and admit to something, they're gonna nab you for it.
Yeah.
And they said as much. They said if Hamlin hadn't said anything, they were going to look the other way. So I don't like it personally. I would rather we let the drivers have some personality and let them talk about it. But I understand the precedent, because there is precedent that if you admit to doing something, they nab you.
Yeah, which makes sense.
I mean,
Totally makes sense.
literally got caught with this last year after the wreck at the last lap of Talladega with Larson. I mean, he posted a meme about it, but I mean, it's the same sort of deal.
Yeah, that's fair.
And NASCAR's been pretty consistent with this precedent of if you say something that's controversial or negative in any certain way, they'll penalize you. I mean, Dale Jr. at Talladega, Hamlin, ironically at Phoenix in 2013 about the introductory of the Gen 6 car. He got fined money after criticizing how bad the aero was of the Gen 6 car.
Yeah, NASCAR doesn't like it when you insult the boys club. That's for sure.
Not at all.
So, again, I think we've all landed about the same place. Denny, do what you want, but don't talk about it like that. I guess it's unfortunate. I really enjoyed hearing him talk about it. I always like knowing that a receipt got delivered.
Absolutely.
Maybe that's just the Matt Kenseth versus Joey Logano coming out in me, because that was the best receipt I've ever seen.
Right.
I wish I could have been there in person for that, because that would have been insane.
Me too. That would have been incredible to see in person.
I'm still pissed about Kenseth getting suspended 2 races because of that.
Right.
Yeah.
He had a tire go down, dude. I don't know. Oh well. At least Logano didn't win that championship.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah, he just won 2018 instead. Well, you know.
He's won in the years he wasn't the best, and he won in the years he was the best.
Yeah. Kind of like Harvick. Harvick won in 14 when he wasn't near the best, and then came back in 15 and lost to Kyle Busch when he finished second 13 times, including the finale.
Oh my God, he finished second 13 times?
13 times in 2015, including the series finale at Homestead. Yep.
It was some ridiculous amount of times. I didn't think it was 13.
It's 13. Now it's committed to my memory.
My goodness.
Yep.
Is that place finishes in a season?
It might be. Other than maybe like David Pearson or something back in like the 70s, where him and Richard ran 1-2 every week. That would be the only other one I can think of, but it's definitely up there. It's definitely the most in like the modern era, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, I can't think of a season that even comes close to that.
Yeah, second 13 times. That's why races like Sunday don't hurt anymore.
Good point.
You can't hurt me anymore. I've seen it all. I've seen every way that you can lose a race in NASCAR.
That's true.
But anyway, well, we're not going to make this into a let's talk about Harvick for 20-minute podcast because I could do that every day.
More like 2 hours, but
I mean, honestly, I could do what ifs on Harvick, and you guys would just go to sleep, and I just record all night.
No, I would be interested in that. Harvick's had a fascinating career.
Maybe here in a few weeks we can like spread it out and go through it, but not this week. We got a couple things to talk about with it being Atlanta this week that I think are a little more fitting. So one of them actually, especially with the Hamlin penalty today, is very interesting because it's not the same penalty, but it's in the same vein of opening your mouth and saying something that you shouldn't.
Right.
But so with that, we'll move into our what ifs. We got 2 for Atlanta this week, and we'll start with 2004 and Dale Jr. racing against Kurt Busch for the in the first ever chase before the playoffs ever were a thing. This 10-race chase format that honestly we should go back to, but that's another thing. But our question is, we're not going to talk about the penalty from Dega. We all know about that. Daddy won here 10 times don't mean shit. Good job, Junior. But even after that, he had a chance to win the championship anyway, even with that. And the first what if we got is, what if he doesn't DNF in that fall Atlanta race? And what would happen had he actually been able to finish it and didn't crash out?
Well, I mean, he probably wins the championship, in all honesty.
Think so?
I think it's a good possibility, yeah. What that does later on for DEI, I don't know. But 2004 is a significantly better year for them.
I don't know if he would have won the championship. They really weren't fast at intermediate tracks, which that was the last 2 races of that year, Darlington and Homestead. And the 48 was just on a roll toward the end of that season. I mean, they were just dominant in the second half of that chase. I don't know if they would have won the championship.
Yeah, I feel like that there's definitely a chance that, we all know the biggest momentum killer was the penalty from Dega. And that is what it is. And that was probably part of the reason he crashed at Atlanta, because he was trying too hard to make up for it. But that Homestead race was honestly insane too. I'm not going to say what if Kurt Busch actually hits the tire, the sand barrels when his tire comes off. But there's a number of things that could have went the other way had Junior been in a position that he could have won the championship. I think the 48 was still a year away. I think they'd finally figured out that formula that led them to 5 straight championships. But I think they figured it out just a little bit too late that year. Jimmy was bad fast, but Jimmy also had some bad luck in that first chase that I think
really did. Yeah.
But so you brought it up, so I'll ask it. Do you think that it would have saved DEI from the fall, or do you think it would have prolonged it at the very least? That's my question to you guys.
Honestly, I think that it would prolong it. Wicked Witches are gonna Wicked Witch either way. I think he stayed. If he wins the championship in 2004, he may not move to Hendrick in 2008. Which
I think he would have left regardless of whether he won the championship or not, because he made his own decision member, he decided to split up the teams after losing the 04 championship. Who knows what they might have just split up anyways, even after winning the championship. You never know what could have happened there.
Absolutely.
That was definitely the beginning of the end of what really was, truthfully, DEI, at least as Dale Earnhardt built it and intended it to be. Like, losing that championship in the way they did, and then, him and Mikey switched teams because, well, it's well documented now that him and Yuri weren't getting along, and then they got back together, halfway through that season, or was it later than that?
I think it was after the Coke 600 where Junior crashed Mikey.
That's right. So I think I land where Robert does. I think that the writing was already on the wall, and as much as it hurts to say, like, I don't think we'll ever know what DEI could have been. I think 2004 was the closest to reaching that goal that Dale Earnhardt had set for them. Like, that was always his goal, was to go out and win a championship as an owner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I think he hired the right people for the job. I think Ty Norris was the right person to lead that team, but I don't think he was the right person to lead it with Dale gone.
Correct.
Right.
And I think Ty Norris is very good at his job. He's obviously, he made MWR relevant championship contention team with his ability to bring the right people in to do the right jobs. And he's doing it right now at Trackhouse. I mean, Ross Chastain made the championship 4 last year in the team's second year of existence. Yeah, it's all Ganassi guys, but it's still the second year the team's existed.
Yeah.
And I think Ty Norris is one of the best at what he does. But I think if you want to, I don't know a nice way to say it, but I don't want to sound too nice or too mean at the same time. But I think Teresa gets a worse rap than she should. But I think that she also was the wrong person to be in the position she was after Dale died.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Both can be true at the same time.
So, yeah, she's kind of a shit bag person, whatever. But she was also handed like the worst hand you could have been dealt.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
An underrated part of the collapse of Dale Jr. was not very mature at the time. He was still very young and very new to this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I really wish we could have had like Dale Jr. now in charge of that team then. But that's just not the way the world works.
No, not at all.
But I don't think it saves DEI. I think things go about the same way they do. They might last another couple years. Dale Jr. might leave in like 09 or 010 instead of 08. Maybe not. I don't know. It's easy to look past all like the miscues and the shortcomings of your organization if you're successful. So in theory, being successful could have prolonged those issues from rearing their head.
Right.
But I still think things go about the way they do. I still think Ganassi ends up with the Earnhardt name for a little bit, and then the assets. And then I still think times kind of just, the wheels of time just kind of turn the same way they did. It might have taken a little longer, but I don't think really much changes. I think the writing was really on the wall before Junior crashed out at Atlanta, and after the Dega penalty and everything. I think the writing was already on the wall, but that really just kind of broke the camel's back.
Yeah, I definitely see it.
So I think we about found where we land on that. We'll move on to the second, and this one is also to do with Fall Atlanta. This time it's 2008. Involves Carl Edwards and Jimmy Johnson. Late in the going, Carl Edwards had dominated the race, and Jimmy Johnson ended up a lap down. And late in the race, he got his lap back, and that was the proponent in him getting a better finishing position that eventually got him his third title in a row at the time.
Yep.
Do I have that timeline right? Okay. So that was championship number 3 in a row. So what if Jimmy doesn't get his lap back and he doesn't have the momentum from finishing good that race? What happens?
Controversial, but I think he still wins the title.
Carl Edwards is the champion. That's what happens. He was buried deep in the field in that race. He was in 30th after he sped on pit road early in the race, and he had to drive to get back his lap on his own under green. And it took him pretty much the whole race to get him back into that position. And then there was a caution at the end of the race with 13 laps to go. He was running 10th at the time, and he got tires and drove all the way up to second. And therefore, while Edwards won the race, he didn't gain anything on Jimmy at all because he finished second. If that doesn't happen, I think Edwards wins the title.
And I think that's about where I land on it, because I actually I went back and watched that race because we were going to talk about it this week, and they were making a huge deal about it the whole time because Jimmy didn't really make mistakes in that era, or at least he didn't make mistakes during the chase.
No, one of the most consistent drivers in the chase.
Like I said, we were talking about Junior in 2004 and Jimmy possibly competing for that one. They had a formula figured out.
Mm-hmm.
Be consistent, work on setups, test your asses off for those 10 tracks, and get into the chase, and then just go as hard as you can for 10 weeks. And they did it at a time when other people really didn't take advantage of it, whether it was because of money or they didn't see the value in it, or I don't know. It definitely wasn't given to him, like to win 5 championships in a row, there has to be like a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Exactly.
They changed the format a few times in there to try to like slow him down, but they just couldn't do it. And
for his first championship, they expanded the chase to 12 drivers, and then he won it 4 straight times afterward.
Yep.
Yeah.
And but what I'm more curious to know is what you guys think about. See, a lot of people, and I don't think this is true, for full disclosure before we actually get into it, but a lot of people point to this era of dominance as the reason why NASCAR started to lose, like it's that bubble of popularity kind of popped, which in reality, it was the recession. We all know that.
Yes.
So it's not that. But to play devil's advocate, Edwards breaks up that, let's just say he breaks it up to where Jimmy wins 2 and then 2.
It's possible. I mean,
in this scenario, does this change anything as far as the state of the sport?
I don't think that it saves them from the wild decline that they went on, but
I bet you Carl Edwards doesn't go winless the next season.
Yeah,
He
and
2009. He had an awful 2009 season.
then how much longer after that did he stick around at Roush?
Stuck around so after 2008, he stuck around for 6 seasons.
Oh yeah, that's right. He did. He went over pretty late. That's right.
yeah, he only was with
I bet if
Joe
he wins
Gibbs for
that
2 years.
championship, he leaves Roush earlier.
You think so? You think he kind of like he's checked all the marks there and he wants to just go trophy hunting or whatever?
Yeah,
I think with how he retired just so abruptly, I think if he had won that championship, he said, "I've already done what I could have done for Jack Roush." Maybe he was thinking, "I can go do it somewhere else." And remember, he was rumored to go to the 20 car in 2012. That was it almost happened.
That's true. Yeah.
What? You know where else he could have gone? Like since we're going down this route with it, you know what ride opened up in 2009? That we all if he'd come off the championship, like you said, it's like okay, Jack gave me my start. I gave Jack his championship. I'm moving on.
The 5.
The 5 car.
The 5.
Yeah.
Imagine him in that 5 car instead of Mark Martin.
I mean, he probably wins that championship too. I mean,
I don't know if he wins the championship, but he's definitely wins more races than he did staying with Roush. That's for sure.
Yeah, because in that scenario, there's no way he goes winless. I don't know. I think that's a little bit far fetched, but that's kind of the point of this. Is like, I doubt he'd even be in a contract here, but let's just say he is, and he takes his
that 2008 was a contract year for Carl Edwards.
Really? So yeah, so we can actually make this semi-realistic. Yeah, he just takes his talents to Concord, drives the 5 car, and Mark Martin just retires because he wants to give the young guy an opportunity.
It's that.
Edwards had a clear upgrade over Casey Mears at that time, and he would have been the biggest free agent on the market.
So Hendrick definitely would have went for him.
Absolutely.
And keep in mind, that was a free agent market that could have had himself, Greg Biffle, Tony Stewart. I mean, 2008 could have been a big free agent year if Edwards doesn't decide to stay at Roush.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy. Because honestly,
was rumored in 2008 to leave to replace Tony Stewart in the 20 car.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
When did Tony leave to make his own team?
He left after 2008.
So he would have got. So we have 2 options here of him going because he was rumored to the 20s. So let's go with that. Let's put him in the 20 over Joey Logano. Imagine how different that would have been.
Yeah, that team, very different. Very, very different.
Right.
Joey Logano doesn't get the same. Joey Logano goes and races for Jack Roush.
It's a possibility, yeah.
I mean, there's a seat now.
Yeah.
He was one of the high. I mean, there was a reason Gibbs hired him. Man, that's wild.
There's so many possibilities.
But given Carl's tendencies and like Robert said, the way he retired, it's very much possible. I mean, maybe not like the most grounded in reality kind of thing, but like honestly, Carl Edwards going to the 20 or the 5 would have changed the entire landscape of the like late aughts or early 2010s because, wow, man, that'd be freaking wild.
It would be, yeah.
Okay, well, I don't know. That's just gangbusters. That's awesome.
It is.
Casey Kane doesn't go to Hendrick either.
That's true because there wouldn't be anywhere for him to go because Carl will be there.
Yeah, I mean,
wow. Okay, so
many ways we can go with this.
I know.
Man. So, who? Mind my crap memory. Who took the 20 after Logano got booted?
Kenseth.
Kenseth. Okay.
He doesn't get that ride, more than likely. And that's in the other scenario. And no way he makes the 19 yet. Right. I'm just saying if Edwards goes to the 20.
Yeah, if Edwards goes to the 20, then Kenseth the Hendrick.
I mean, yeah, but I don't see him making that fourth team yet, Joe Gibbs. So it's.
I mean, if you can have early 2010s Matt Kenseth and Carl Edwards.
Yeah, you're gonna do it.
I mean, Gibbs made it happen just 4 years later.
That's true. It wasn't very long after at all that they made it happen. So, if the money was right, because when Kenseth went over there, he brought some money with him because DeWalt came back and he had Dollar General, which was already there, but they wanted him. Yeah, we could have had a 4-car duo of Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Matt Kenseth, and Carl Edwards.
3 years earlier than we had it.
Yeah, 3 years earlier than we got it, but like
We already had that in real life.
Yeah.
But just imagine it in 2012 instead of 2016.
That's true. Very true.
You know, like when these guys are in their prime.
I mean,
you think Edwards has a better chance to win the 2011 championship if he goes to the 20?
Oh, I don't know. Gibbs was off in 2011. Like Gibbs was off in that time period.
That's true.
that's
But
true.
they also were running around with Hamlin, Logano, and Kyle, and that's it.
Right. That was the year that Hamlin had his terrible season.
In 2011, yeah.
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 We're all like, oh, he's washed up, and he's absolutely not washed up.
That's wild.
1 year old, apparently.
That's freaking wild. Okay. All right. I think that's a good spot then. Like,
Yeah, I feel like
he literally would have had the world at his fingertips at that time if he'd won that championship.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, with that, let's move into predictions for this upcoming race weekend. We have 3 races at Atlanta and 1 race at, where are they racing in F1?
Saudi
Arabia. That's right. Okay. So
I'm gonna jump ahead here and just throw out my prediction real quick.
okay.
He's gonna build on the momentum he started 2 weeks ago at Bahrain. He's gonna find his way back to first on the podium for Fernando Alonso.
That's who you're going with?
I am going with Alonso.
Dang it.
Okay.
That was a pick. I was going to go.
I mean,
Man.
there's a rule that says you can't pick him.
Yeah, so if you want to ride Fernando's momentum, you definitely can.
Yeah, considering Leclerc has that starting grid penalty, I think I'm going to do it.
That's very true. Yeah. I don't know what's going on at Ferrari.
It's just Ferrari doing Ferrari things.
That's yeah. They're just doing it earlier than usual.
You know, they got a new team manager, and Ferrari is still Ferrari.
That's true.
So, you guys are both going with Alonso?
Yeah.
Okay. So I can't pick the same as Billy. So instead of going with Alonso like I wanted to, I'll go with Checo. And I think that Max blows up lap 1 and Perez leads the entire race. That's at least what I hope.
That's not going to happen.
If
No,
that
it's not.
laugh.
No. And maybe if Max was in a Ferrari.
It's true.
He got Red Bull, so.
True. All right. We'll move into truck picks, but yeah, we'll just move in the truck picks for ASS this weekend. Atlanta Super Speedway. If anybody listened to the recap, I made probably the worst best joke of my entire life.
Yeah,
But
brilliant.
I lean more toward the former than the latter.
But anyway, for Atlanta Super Speedway, who do you guys got for the truck race?
You know, I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I'm nervous about it because she has terrible luck. I'm gonna go with Haley Deegan.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to go with her teammate, who's very good at drafting tracks, Ben Rhodes.
Okay. You're gonna go with not last year, but the year before his truck champion, Mr. Ben Rhodes. So I'm gonna go really bold. I'm gonna go with the guy that I think has more expectations on him than anybody's really talked about, and the guy with more to prove than more people talk about. I'm going with Nick Sanchez. And the Rev Racing, totally not just a KBM truck.
It's a KB truck.
Yeah, they just buy KBM trucks, I know. But so with Xfinity, I'll do my Xfinity pick first.
Okay.
I'm going to go with who I believe is the next person who puts together a complete race. I think with his colleague teammates of Hemrick and this week Justin Haley in the 10, Chandler Smith gets it done at Atlanta Super Speedway and finally gets the win that surprisingly, as a rookie, he arguably should have had already.
It's his home track, too.
Yep, sure is. That was kind of the part of the reason too. Momentum, and it's his home track, so.
And he almost won the truck race here last year as well.
He sure did. He sure did. If John Hunter Nima truck didn't walk from 2 laps down.
God damn it. Oh,
So, sorry, that was a bad joke. I apologize.
it really was.
It really was.
Anyway, bad puns aside, who do you guys have for Xfinity?
I'll let Robert go first here.
Can't believe you didn't take this. The best super speedway racer in Xfinity right now, Austin Hill. He's been so dominant.
He's won 2 races already, man. Like, I get it. He's good. He's really good. But I didn't want to pick him because I want someone else to win.
I absolutely agree there. That's
You don't want to hop on the tinfoil hat train of NASCAR rigging it for Austin Hill?
Buddy, if they were rigging it for anybody in Xfinity, it wouldn't be Austin Hill.
not a chance.
Who would even rig it for at Xfinity now? Gibbs is gone.
John Hunter Nemechek,
Yeah, there we go.
the son of a former NASCAR driver, driving Joe Gibbs Racing, the team who won the championship last year. It makes sense.
Perfect. All right, Billy, who you got?
They're gonna make up for their colossal mistake at Daytona, but it's gonna be the 7 car that's gonna be out front. Justin Allgaier.
All right, you're going with the Alligator.
You know, Allgaier's never won on a super speedway. Daytona, Talladega, or Atlanta.
He's lost in every single way you can, though.
I think he's 0 for 73.
Good Lord.
He's the
That's
Truex
awful.
of Xfinity at super speedways. Can't win one to save his life.
It's fair. All right. We're going to go with Cup at Atlanta Super Speedway. Who do you guys think gets it this week?
Bubba Wallace. I think it's time. He gets a legitimate super speedway win.
Man.
Not that it's really a super speedway, but, it's ass.
He gets one that ain't range shortened.
What's the joke now that he has one that's not range shortened?
Oh, it was Kurt's car.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
it was
right.
Kurt's car because 45 and his name set up or whatever. I don't think he even was set up.
Even though Logano said if Bubba had showed up and Kurt's set up, he would have ran 15th. But whatever. All right, Robert, who you got for Cup?
So hard because this race is just so random. Anybody can win this race. I'll go with the new Casey Kane and Ryan Blaney.
YRB, okay. Even though he's like, what, 30 now?
29.
Okay, once he hits 30, do we start calling him middle-aged Ryan Blaney or Marb?
Is 30 middle age? 30
No,
still-
it's really not.
No. I will say, Jay, when I made my pick, I heard you.
Yeah, I had to scratch mine out, so now I'm struggling here.
Boom.
Man, that's what happens when you lose. You don't get to pick first. That's what I get for picking Bowman at Phoenix, where he has 2 top 10s ever.
And why did you pick Bowman at Phoenix of all places?
He had momentum, man. I don't know. And then he was like,
his hometown.
Yeah, that too. And he had the puppy car, which was really cool looking. And I don't know. I should have just picked Harvick. And then I still would have lost.
All the weeks you could have picked Harvick.
Well, I really wanted to, but I just couldn't do it. I wanted to save him for a Richmond because I feel like he's going to win Richmond again. But for this week, I think that with 2 to go, the pack's all lined up. And like last year, they're too busy fighting for second place. Eric Jones wins the race in the 43 car by doing absolutely nothing.
Not bad.
Yeah,
That's
Byron nothing last year. He literally led the final 40-ish laps of the race.
Yep, by doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And then Chastain won the Dega race by just holding his line on the bottom. And Jones would have won that race if he hadn't moved either.
Absolutely.
Literally, just don't move in this package.
Yeah, if you're on the point and they start racing behind you for position, you're good. They can't pass you. So I'm going to say that happens, and I'm going to say this time Eric Jones wins. I guess that's just a shot in the dark because we'll just see what happens. But Jones last year seemed to be up near the front for most of these drafting style, plate style tracks. So
finished 4th in the July race last summer.
Yeah, that was. I was trying to think through that. I was trying to think of who all finished top 5, and I was like, with the way that Legacy Motor Club or whatever the hell they're calling themselves have been running, I feel like this is going to be one of the few opportunities that Jones has. I almost picked Corey LaJoie.
Oh, yeah.
But
I considered it.
But I feel like he just gets wrecked. So
that's probably true.
But with that, I think we got our picks. I'm probably not going to win a single one this weekend because that's just my luck. I don't know if you guys do the random fantasy that Steve puts up, but I have JJ Yaley in that, so yay.
Oh,
I'm so excited to watch JJ Yaley try to win this race.
I mean, you never know if somebody causes a 20-car pileup.
Yeah, if it starts raining in turn 1 and they just don't throw the caution.
Yeah,
oh, wait, that actually happened.
Rain this weekend in Atlanta.
Yeah, it's supposed to rain. And they're calling for rain, what, tomorrow?
Friday.
Yeah. Oh, duh, it's Wednesday. Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're
I
calling for that.
say real quick.
Shoot.
NASCAR. Why do you schedule Truck Series and Xfinity Series qualifying for Friday when it's a one-lap qualifying session the day before? Just schedule it for Saturday morning.
No, we got to get those hotels, bud.
Yeah, those cheap hotels.
Yeah,
That
those cheap.
40 miles away from the racetrack.
Yeah, because gosh, hotels are ridiculous. Last year, when we went to Bristol during the spring, 2 nights in a Red Roof Inn, 15 minutes from the track, $520.
Oh yeah,
Gracious.
This year, we're doing 1 night in Mooresville, we're doing the campgrounds, and we're doing 1 night in Kannapolis, and it's like $250.
How far
Looking
is
good.
that away from Bristol?
From where I'm at,
No, from Kannapolis.
so it's from Kannapolis and Mooresville, which are about like 25 minutes apart. It's about 3.5 hours to Bristol.
Oh.
So we're going. So
Yeah.
we're not
Some
going to any
idiot
orange.
is flying into Concord.
Yeah, Billy's flying in the Concorde, and then picking him up on Thursday. We're going to get our last little bit of stuff together for that. And then Friday morning, we got to go to JRM because we got a scheduled tour, and we're going to a few other race shots before we head towards the track. We're going to go to Michael Walter's Brewery. Then we're going to go set up our camp for the night. And then Saturday, we're going to spend most of the day at the track and catch the truck race. And then Sunday, we're going to catch the cup race. And then Monday morning, we're going to head back and come see the Hall of Fame and go see some more race shops, and then do some more of it Tuesday before we all head back out.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I'll
gonna
be
be a
honest.
good time.
I hope that race is good.
So, I'll be
too.
honest. I know it's a few weeks out, but I have a feeling that this year is going to be the best that Bristol Dirt's been, because it was honestly, in person, it was pretty dang good last year. Like, I know the rain delays probably weren't like they're boring as all can be on TV, I'm sure, but in person there wasn't any kind of lightning or anything, so we were just kind of hanging out, and it was a good time. Like, some people definitely left during the rain, but like it was never like enough where you need to go like hide under the stands or anything.
I actually think the rain actually helped the track, to be honest.
Yeah, because it didn't dry out.
Yeah.
So, but if you notice, the biggest comparison I can think to, and this isn't a true comparison, no one come at me. If you watch the Eldora truck races, like back to back to back, you'll notice that they get better at prepping the surface every year.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish we still went there, because we had to start the whole process over with Knoxville, and you saw how that went.
Yeah.
The first year was an absolute shit show. The second year was a bit better, and I hope that this year is even better. I think that adjusting to how much these stock trucks and stock cars weigh it's just different in the way that you need to prep these surfaces, because your midgets and your super late models and stuff, they don't weigh what a Cup Series car does or what a Truck Series truck weighs.
Not at all.
Also, when are we getting Xfinity at Bristol, Kurt?
I don't know if we're ever going to.
The weight isn't the problem. The biggest problem with those dirt races, they're way too long. A dirt race is not supposed to be 150 laps, or not 250 laps. The track changes too much.
Yeah, that's true. It is a bit too long, but like,
No dirt race in the world is 250 laps for that reason.
no, they're all like 50 lap features. See,
Right.
I think, and this is going to get into the weeds, but I think a format like the Clash, where you have like heat races, would be cool, and like limit the amount of cars on the field, and then instead of like a 250 lap feature, make it like 4 or 5 heat races and then a 100 lap feature. It could still be a little bit too long, but with less cars on track, instead of like 36, 37. Say we have like 16 to 20.
I mean, yeah, that's about how many competitive. Well, there's more than 16 competitive cars. Excuse me, there's about 25. But I mean, I wouldn't mind that at all.
Like I know that gets into the weeds. Well, God. I don't know. I think a lot of people would complain for the same reasons that I would complain about the Clash being a points race. Like they're ruining the talk about the filling the hole with Auto Club being gone now.
The Clash
could be
points
good.
race. The Clash cannot be a point.
Yeah, absolutely cannot. There's no way we're getting 40 cars on that track.
There's no pit road.
Right. Also that.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the biggest problem.
Pit road, you can't pit.
Yeah, it's not like we had the two FRM cars from the last chance qualifier run out of gas during that race.
Yeah.
God.
Also, I think with this car, the race would just be horrible because everyone would just be running the same speed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it could work for Bristol Dirt, though, if there were less cars on track and instead of making it one big feature, they made it, instead of qualifying races, they were just heat races, and then the top 16, the 20 were just it. Like, I don't know if that go over well with people, like their driver missing the show.
Not at all. Not one bit would that go
But
over.
as far as what would make the best product, all of that other stuff aside, I think that limiting the amount of cars on the track would be the good first step, and then limiting the length of the race would be the second big thing.
Yeah, I mean, they have heats now, but they just set the field, the 40 car field. Well, they will this year.
Normal qualifying. 1 lap. In Bristol's case.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I got on the weeds on it, but it is what it is. I think that'll about do us, though. This will end up being about an hour, which I think is pretty good. Robert, thank you for coming and joining us, and
Thank you, Robert.
I enjoyed it. Thank you.
And enjoyed talking about these what ifs and shooting the shit on everything else. And anybody who chose to listen to this, we appreciate you. And we will catch you after the races for a short recap, and then again next week for some more what ifs in the fantasy world of motorsports.
FWOM.
I'm glad that that's finally sticking with you.
Yeah, I love it.